What up, YouTube? It's the Moorish Trucker, demonstrating love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice here, there, and everywhere. Just want to do a quick video on your clock and GPSs. To show you how to manage, because I got a buddy of mine just started and he's having a hell of a time managing his clock, and he wasn't understanding what I was saying over the phone. So I'm gonna make a video, right? Alright. So this right here is an important clock. This is your driving clock. As you can see, you can only drive 11 hours a day. This is your duty clock. This starts the moment you do your pre-trip, and it don't stop running until you do a 10-hour break. You only got 14 hours in a day for that. This is your 70-hour clock. This bad boy right here will cause you to do a vacation for a day and a half. Once you hit 70, you will have to do a 34-hour reset, right? So, and then over here, this is the amount of driving time I have left, and this is how long I've been in sleeper berth. You can see it's 3:18 in the evening. Now, the first clock, you manage this clock with your shippers and receivers is as soon as you get to your shipper or receiver, you go into yard. You change. I'm in sleeper berth now, so I can't do it, or I take myself out. But you hit that, show that you arrived at either the shipper or arrived at your receiver, and you go into yard. The reason you will go into yard is it will stop this driving clock, because you're gonna have to sign in. You're gonna have to find your dock door. You're gonna have to open your doors. You may be waiting on other truckers to get out your way so you can bag into your dock, disconnecting from your trailer, things like that. Those minutes will kill that driving clock. And when I say kill it, it will kill it. So the minute you get into a shipper and receiver, pull your brakes. And before I even talk to them, before I do anything, I pull my brakes and I go into yard. It's asked for an explanation, like I'm going to Walmart tonight, I'll put Walmart. If it was Target, Target. If it was one of the slaughterhouses, I will put their name as an explanation. But going to yard, the moment you can come to a stop once you enter your shipper and receiver. Now, your duty clock. This bad boy here will murder you, because also at your shippers and receivers, it keeps running. As you can see, I'm in sleeper berth and it's still running, and it's going to continue to run until that 5:45, where it looks like it's a bed next to it, strikes zero. When that strikes zero, that strikes zero. So say for instance right now, I pull off for whatever reason, or I go on duty, those hours are still counting against me. You see what I'm saying? And I'm gonna get to the 70-hour clock, but this duty clock is highly important, because like I say, you'll be at shippers for 3-4 hours waiting to get loaded, the shippers and receivers waiting to get loaded or unloaded, and it take them 3-4 hours. And that clock was still, so the minute, even if you go into off duty, or even if you try to be slick and go into sleeper berth, the minute you pull off, that clock is still going against you. You see what I'm saying? And this clock here, I'm finna show you how to manage it, or how you can run off recaps until you do your home time without having to do a 34-hour reset. I was forced to do a 34-hour reset because my Garmin went down and it was stuck on drive mode, and they couldn't go in there and change the drive mode. So Sunday I was forced to, or Saturday or Friday night, I was forced to go into sleeper berth until Sunday. Okay, so this is how recaps run. Mo, if you're listening, if you're watching this video, this is for you. So my first day, I ran almost 10 hours. You can see the next day, I think I was waiting on, I forgot what happened with that day. But anyway, with the 10 hours, what will happen is within your 8th day, my 8th day is Monday. Hold on, let me show you something. So as you can see, I'm in good shape on my clock, right? I got 56 hours. Even if I added 16 hours to it, No, that would be 72. That would be a little bit over. If I added 8 hours to that clock right now, to put me at 64, right? So which would limit what I could do come Monday. But this is how your recaps run. Every new day knocks the first day off, right? So this 9 hours and 59 minutes that I ran come Monday is gonna come off. And this is what it's gonna look like. And then at the top, it's gonna show the 6th, Monday, because tomorrow is the 5th, right? So what happens is I get those 10 hours back come Monday. So if my clock is, let's just say for instance tomorrow I run for 8 hours, that'll put me at 64 hours. So Monday it will show me in this empty space here how many hours I'm gonna get back come Monday, because I'm in sleeper berth right now. It's telling me I got to stay in sleeper berth for another 5 hours, and that's how much driving time I have left for today. So what would happen on this clock, say for instance if it was today, it was tomorrow, it would show me that I have 10 hours coming tomorrow, right? And when tomorrow hit, this 56 would drop down to 46, right? Now let's say for instance I drive 8 of those hours out. That would leave me 1 hour and 59 minutes on that day. Since I only drove for 17 minutes on that day, Tuesday would bring me back 10 hours and some change, plus the hour and some change I didn't drive on that day. So that'd be almost 12 hours that would be recapped. Boom. Then on Wednesday, that 8 hours is coming, but these hours now will show up at the top. See what I'm saying? They will be new days. But every day after your 8th day, every day will knock a day off, and every day that you drove on those days, those hours will come back combined with the hours you haven't used. So that's how you run on recaps. You keep yourself to about 8 to 9 hours at a time. At a time. 8 to 9 hours a day. That would leave you 3 to 2 hours on your driving clock, plus the hours that's recapped 8 days prior that came off. So it just keeps going I don't know why I just clicked off there. I needed that. So it's a step, it's a ladder. That day's cut off, the new day is added on. That's how you run your recaps, and that's why you stay between 8 and 9 hours. Like today, I only drove 5 hours, right? So that's good for my recaps because I have 950 day, I have a 920 day, and I had that 959 day, and I'm glad. That's when you do, if you have to do a 34-hour reset or you coming home from your hometown, that first day or that second day you come back, you can max them, because when your 8th day come, those hours will be coming back to you. Now, me and this time management, this is how I set myself up today. So this load is going to Walmart, right? It doesn't deliver until 12 o'clock midnight. And you can see I'm in sleeper berth at 3:26 in the evening with 5. So I've been here already about 4 hours and some change, right? But I put myself in a good position because I got up this morning and ran almost 6 hours to get the load here. And I started yesterday. So as you can see, I ran the bulk of my hours out of this load yesterday at almost 9 hours. Today I only had to do about 6 hours, right? So what I'm doing to show you good trip planning is, let me navigate it so you can see it. I'm only a mile, 1.4, about a mile and a half from the receiver. Let me shrink that. See what I'm saying? Walmart distribution center. All I got to do is come out of here, make a right, and I'm a mile away. I ain't got to worry about traffic. I don't have to too much worry about accidents. So what I'm also doing, I'm doing my 10-hour reset because see, this is the problem. I've already started my clock. that duty clock will run out long before 12 o'clock tonight. But by me doing the 10-hour reset already, this clock is going to go to 0. The load delivers at 12:15. I'm only a mile away. Normally at Walmart, I would try to get there about 45 minutes early. You can't deliver at Walmart no more than an hour early. So I usually try to stay within the 30 to 45 minute early. But today, since I'm in such a beautiful position, not only am I going to go into the shipper with a fresh shift clock, duty clock, but I'm also going to wait to 12 o'clock. Your driving clock resets every day at 12 o'clock, 12:01 or something, right? So I'm also going to have fresh hours on that because I'm going to wait to 12 o'clock, and this shouldn't have no problem with getting up the street in 15 minutes. A mile in 15 minutes. I shouldn't have no problem with that. So what I'm going to do is have my driving clock reset and my duty clock reset. Now, doing that puts me in a good position because, like I say, at Walmart, they're going to take 3-4 hours to unload me. And it's going to be about 3-4 o'clock in the morning, right? And trying to find parking at 3-4 o'clock in the morning is just ridiculous, okay? Just ridiculous. You're not going to find it. You're either going to be parked on the shoulder somewhere or on the entrance ramp into a rest area. So my plan is, once I find out what my new load is and what direction I'm going, I can just find parking. I drive to about 8-9 o'clock in the morning, and those drivers who only drive in the daytime will all be leaving the truck stop, so I can find a good parking. And another thing about the trip planning is I like about this GPS is Smart Truck Route. I pay 56 bucks a year for it. Smart Trucker Route wants you to pay 32 bucks a month. You can use the free one, but I like the POIs, which is the point of interest, right? Let's do Des Moines, right? Which is where I was coming from. All right. So with this, and it saves your route. The reason it saves the route is so if the satellite goes down or if your date on your phone goes down, you still have the map and you can continue trucking, right? I trip plan off this app mainly because it allows me to know where I'm at by the hour, and it shows me where the truck stops are. So say, for instance, I want to drive 8 hours, right? Boom. I can see where all the truck stops are along my route, and I can plan to, okay, let's say we want to go to the Loves. Boom. I can add that to my route, create the route. It's created, then it's going to save it. And now what I can do is trip planning. See, it's gonna give me 9 hours and 15 minutes to make it to that truck stop, so I can go back and get a shorter route, right? You could do that if you want to do 8 hours. I wouldn't do that 9+ unless I really had to, but you can see where you're gonna be by the hour, and it's gonna give you truck stops within that route. It's going to show you where all the construction's going on, things like that. But what I like to do, which is what I did with this one, is my final. I like to see where I'm at on my final and then find the closest truck stop to my final. And whenever you see the CAT scale, that's probably usually off-brand truck stop. Sure enough, as you can see, they go to truck parking. So it's a CAT scale to weigh your truck out, but you can see they got truck parking. It's a truck stop. It's just an off-brand one. I will usually try to get there as early as I can because there's gonna always be times where you can you're gonna have plenty of time to drop your load. There should be no real reason, unless there's a horrific accident or you just bullshitting around. You should have ample amount of time to get your load where it's going. Shippers are really not a problem because with us over here, once we leave a receiver, the shipper is really within a couple of 100 miles away, not really, about an hour and some change away. So you can leave your final and go right to you. So the receiver is what I concentrate on the most. So I try to get as close as I can to that receiver as early as I can. So just like what I showed you with the clock, I can do a reset on my hours, do a reset on my clock, on my driving if I can, or I can minimize how many hours are already on my clock, or minimize how many hours I add to my driving. See what I'm saying? It's to ensure that I keep the recaps, and then no matter how long they keep me at the receiver, I can still make it to my shipper and, you know, start planning on making it to the next location. Because what I do is I get to the receiver drop off, I put in the map once they send me my new load, how long is what it's going to take me to get there. Then once I get to that shipper, I put in my final destination, and from there I trip plan where I'm going. And get you a good GPS. Like I said, I use the Smart Truck route, but also get you a Motor Carriers Atlas. Reason being, everything in orange is where a trucker can go. And I'm gonna tell you a story on why that's important. What I found out, well, one day I was following my GPS, and it was taking me to this real small town for a delivery. And my Garmin was giving me the same route that the company gave me. So when I got there, I'm making a turn, and don't you know them little black signs that got animals on them? They be sitting in people's yards. I'm thinking, as I turned the corner, these were signs. They were actual cows. So you know, if people were allowing their cows to run wild in the middle of the day, ain't expecting nobody to come down there, let alone a big old semi. In those small towns, all of their turns have drainage ditches. So as I'm trying to make the turn, avoid the little stop sign, my back end dipped, and it brought my skid plate up, and the front end tilted. So the wheels were off the ground. I had to lower my airbags to bag up and get out of there. But my point to that is I didn't confirm my GPS with my Motor Carriers Atlas, because everything in that orange shows where a truck can go. And what I learned is trucker apps base their ability to get a truck in and out of there off low bridges and no truck access. So there are roads that are not truck restricted, but a truck shouldn't be on them. And that situation with them cows threw me for a loop. Like, I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. I knew I was in trouble. And the good thing about it was I was empty. Had I have been loaded, I'd have flipped that trailer, because the weight of the trailer would have followed that wheel. I'd have flipped that bad boy over if it had been loaded. 41, 42, 43,000 pounds back there. Oh yeah, that I'd have flipped it, because it actually went down in the ditch as I was trying to round this corner, which was just not big enough for a truck. So you want to manage your driving clock. Like I say, as soon as you get to a shipper and receiver, pop your brakes, let your people know you there, and go into yard. That way you can move around without burning your drive clock. And before you get to shippers, understand you need to give yourself about a 4-hour window on your duty clock, because that duty clock's not going to stop running. So like I say, today I put myself in a good position where I could do a 10-hour reset. That way, the only time I'm burning on my clock is the time at the receiver, and then I can still make it to my next load and move on for the next day and find me some decent parking and, you know, continue on. And your 70-hour clock, make sure you minimize your driving to 8 to about 9 hours of driving. If you do have to do 10 plus hours, make sure the next day or the day after you only do about 5 or 6 hours. That way your recaps can maximize, and you can stay away from that 70, because once that clock hits 70, you're on vacation, bro, for a day and a half. Unless it's a city you just want to go out and hang in, or you at home or something. And for me, as a lease driver, the 34-hour reset will hurt me, because that's 2 days I can't run. You see what I'm saying? I have to sit still, which only leaves me 5 days to try to make money for the rest of the week. And I need all 7 days. So you can run on recaps until you go home. Then when you do your home time, put your Garmin or whatever your company has in sleeper berth, log out. When you come back, you'll have a fresh clock. You see what I'm saying? But it's highly important that you do clock management. Like I say, everybody has a different method to how they trip plan. I use a smart truck route. Like I say, it tells me where I'm gonna be about an hour, where I can park to do my 10-hour rest at, and things of that nature. And I can always bag the route up, especially when I'm going to small towns. I don't really worry about big cities, but small towns, you want that motor carrier to show you, make sure that the route you're taking is actually regulated for trucks. Because a lot of times, like I say, these small towns, they just, I don't know, they're just not going to show up on your GPS as restricted. You draw, but you definitely are not supposed to be there. So I hope this little information was helpful to new drivers out there when you get out here, as far as managing your clocks. What recaps are. Recaps are your first day driving being knocked off and added to your 8th day and your 9th day. And as you keep going, these days get knocked off, the new days get added on. So make it a habit to drive 8 to about 9 hours a day. Make sure you do not start your pre-trips or any kind of driving, because either your pre-trip going on duty or driving past 5 miles an hour will start that duty clock. Make sure, because that was my problem in the beginning. I would start off at the crack of dawn to get somewhere just to be closer to the shipper or receiver without understanding my duty clock. Even though I'm probably sitting at a truck stop doing nothing, if I don't sit there for 10 hours straight, I'm burning my duty clock. So make sure you only start that clock when you're ready to work. And be mindful that these shippers and receivers will hold you for 3, 4, 5 hours. One time I was at a shipper, I went to sleep, woke up and thought they missed me. They weren't even thinking about me. You know, and I sat there for almost 5 hours and some change. So understand that when it's live loads. I'd rather do dropping hooks, but you know, live loads are what they are, and Walmart is one of the bigger carriers, but they gonna hold you for about 3, 4 hours. So make sure that you have enough time on your clock. In any event that you don't, if you already have a load or if you already empty, if you not going to the shipper, you not going to the receiver, you actually looking for parking and you running out of time on your duty clock, going to PC and put parking as an explanation. You know what I mean? Because you'll be saying, oh man, I'm trying to park. Safety called me one day. Like, man, you running out of time. You only got a minute. I pulled over on the side of the road and went into PC. You know what I'm saying? It's the best thing you can do. And one time, you know, I got a habit of parking in reserve parking late nights. You know, if I can't find a decent parking space, if it's about 4 or 5 of them bad boys open, I'm in them. There was one particular night I parked in one, and I was 4 hours into my sleeper berth, and they had guys that had reserved them. And when I tried to go on the app and reserve me one, day it sold out. So I had to move and go to the truck stop down the street. So I just went into PC, got down the street, and they was illegally parked in the middle of the I saw trucks where there was enough room for the trucks on both sides to come out. They was just parked in the middle right there. I slid in with them. And when I came out of PC back in the sleeper berth, it didn't take me out. So PC, personal conveyance, is good too if you're in an emergency. But if you leaving a shipper or a receiver and you're not actually on your way to drop the next load off, or you pick a load up, you actually finna rest for the night, save your clock, go into PC until you find parking. So I hope this was, you know, beneficial, and hope it helps out. If you got any questions, let me know. Peace.